Hello everyone, welcome back. So this is how to remove old render, and you can see why this render needs to come off. It's loose in parts. This particular one, it's still strong enough as well, but it obviously needs to come off as it's becoming loose and it's not very nice to look at anymore, so needs to come off and be redone. So I've already started here. You can see, when I've started here, I've went for a weak area that already had a bit of a hole. But I'll talk about the safety first. I do have glasses on and a mask. If the noise is annoying you too much, you can have ear defenders as well. Bear in mind, it is outside and it's very warm today. But I still recommend definitely goggles and a mask, and then you're going to need steel toe cap boots as well, because some plaster might come off in bigger lumps and you don't want it landing on your foot. And again, you should probably also wear gloves. The reason I'm not wearing gloves is because it's so warm and I'm trying to stay cool at the same time. So, and then again as well, with the drill I'm using, it's a makita drill and it's running off 110 power. So it's a bit safer if I did manage to cut the wire or something, or it did rain. The power voltage is a bit less, so it's got that bit more safety aspect to it as well. So, but I'll jump back. Then you can see the preparation of the job. I'm trying to keep the wire in a safe distance from the plaster that's fallen as I'm working. Two, I have dust sheets down here, and that's just to collect. I'm outside and there's a garden here. I'm just trying to collect as much rubble as possible from getting into the grass and just making a mess and make clean up a bit easier. So that's that all talked about. Also, when you're using a Kango, it's sort of recommended that you should only use it for about 30 minutes, and then you should kind of take 30 minutes as a break, or 15 minutes as a break. So if there happen to be two of you at the job, you just could swap over every 15 minutes or something. And the reason for that is it does vibrate back into your hands and your fingers and your hands and your arms. So that's the reason for that, and it can damage your hands and that. So that's sort of the reasons of that. So I'm going to jump in the two ways I sort of take it off, and one is the way I'm going now, is working basically from the broken edge and trying to get in behind the render, trying to knock the loose plaster off from, basically I'm like undermining it and trying to cut in behind it and pop it off, as you can see. So this usually works best, but it does tend to work. This way of chipping it off does work better when the plaster is very loose. As you can see, it's not particularly the loosest, but it's crumbly. You can see it crumbling away easy enough as well. So that's that tactic, which is coming onto the plaster and taking it with you. And again, the looser the plaster is, the better that tactic will work. More will come off a lot quicker for you. So the next way is what I'm sort of doing now, and that's coming. I'll get a better angle for you. So the next sort of way of chipping it off to me is just coming from the plaster, from a point that's not really broke, maybe 3-4 inches behind, and trying to take wee bits off that way. And it seems to be working very well on this wall, which again, parts of this wall has just came away, but some other parts are quite strong as well. So this tactic might help on a render that is still a bit stronger but needs to come off, as you can see. So yes, I'm only getting wee squares off at a time, but jobs like this do take time to chip off, so you'll know that when you come to start. back to the other tactic of cutting underneath. But that's kind of the two ways that I would go about chipping. One, from trying to undermine it there, and then two is coming from the face of the plaster and taking it away. As you can see as well, the block's coming off pretty clean. If you look at the block, I've got it off pretty clean, and you quick brush down, and then this wall will pretty much be ready to plaster again. But I will be doing a few things when I am plastering it to help my next coat bond. But I want to just sort of catch on the reasons why the bits of this wall had popped off. Obviously, I don't know 100% because I didn't do the original job, so I don't know what their guys' mixes are precisely, what the weather was when they were doing it. Was it frosty? Was it frosty the next day? So, was there sand clean? Was there cement new? What additives did they use? Did they use too much mortar mix? Too much, plasticizer? I don't know. So I can only go from what I think, basically theory. But I'll tell you the things that this wall, could make this wall compost. And so earlier on, you could see there was a big crack in the wall, and after obviously I chipped it off. I chipped it off just beyond that crack, say maybe about 10 inches past the crack, and the crack had come up through the block, so I did mesh that as well before I rendered this wall. But basically the crack, although there wasn't much loose there, but a crack in it can then later on, if moisture gets in and then freezes, it can pop off. So the crack would probably have caused problems maybe in another year or two anyhow. But plaster does tend to crack, but the fact that the blocks were actually cracked as well gives the plaster less chance of not cracking. But there's plenty of things to do to try and help stop cracks, but I'll get to them on a different video. So the reason why I think parts of this wall was popping as well was the back of this wall isn't plastered whatsoever. That's the neighbouring wall, so that won't help because moisture can come through that. So if moisture is coming through to the direction of this side of the wall, it can push the plaster off somewhat and obviously make it damp. And then obviously this wall's painted as well, so all the moisture could be trapped in there. So that could be one reason. The next reason is this garden actually slopes all down in towards the bottom of this wall, which then could let some moisture into the bottom of the wall as well. So that's something that the homeowner is going to sort out as well. You can see the stuff flying off now. It's quite good to sit back and watch it, but chipping off plaster isn't the funnest job. It is dirty, so be prepared to get dusty and need a good bath and shower after it. And prepared to get sore arms, tired arms, because it's tiring work. Although I am using the makita Kango, it's one of the better ones. But you may be using a cheaper one because you're only doing a small job. You're not going to be doing many jobs like that, which is fine. But it might be prepared to have tired arms after. But yes, I'll jump back into the reasons why I think the walls came loose. So I've already got the back end of the wall has no protection. The front, the water tends to slope towards the bottom of this wall, and as you remember, most of the problems in this wall was halfway up. So there are reasons. I think the guys got their mix slightly wrong. I think their scratch coat was too weak, and I think their top coat was slightly stronger. It might have been tub mortar full of plasticizer, maybe too much plasticizer. So you can see it's very, very dusty coming off. But that's all I mates. The reason I say that is the top coat looked darker than the scratch coat, their base coat. So that was the reason why I think they might have got problems with the mix. I think there's lots of lime in this mix as well. Maybe too much for a sand cement based render, especially again if your scratch coat has more lime in it than the top coat. Your scratch coat should be stronger than your top coat. You're working your way out. But that being said, I have came across looser walls. You can see that parts of this wall are gone, it's toast. But I have came across worse. But so hope all these wee tips and tricks and my advice sort of helps you out on any plaster you're tending to chip off.